Katie Matthews' private eye. Katie was inconsolable just 3 years after she had undergone the growth treatment. Without the help of Dr. Ronnie, she would have never made it to the joint funeral. Alicia and Grandma had been on their way to pick up Katie from a karate class when the accident happened. The two people Katie loved most in the world had been killed by an 18-wheeler that simply lost its brakes. Katie sobbed loudly as both caskets were lowered side by side to their graves. In Katie's mind, her life was also lowered into the graves with them. 3 days later, Katie walked into the bureau and quit, without explanation. Katie knew that she would be useless in the field in her current situation. There was no way Katie would endanger her fellow agents in her current state of mind. Luckily, money would not be a problem for Katie. She was the beneficiary of both Alicia's and Grandma's life insurance. The amount was just over $400,000. The settlement from the trucking company would be twice that. Katie did the only thing she knew to do. She reverted to baby Katie and her nursery. Dr. Ronnie visited Katie 6 weeks after the funeral just to check up on her. It took at least 5 minutes before Katie even answered the door. Katie was an absolute mess. She was wearing both a wet and messy diaper and did not seem the least concerned about it. Ronnie then noticed the condition of the apartment. Simply put, it was a pigsty. The kitchen was even more disgusting than the apartment. To be honest, the whole apartment stank of wet and messy diapers. Ronnie visited with Katie for a while, then said her goodbyes. The next day, Ronnie started interviewing nannies for Katie. Ronnie was very happy with her choice for Katie's new nanny. Her name was Gretchen. She was from Sweden and was 35 years old. She was also one of the largest women Ronnie had ever met, at approximately 6 feet 4 inches and 275 pounds. Her resume was excellent. She had a great deal of experience taking care of children of all ages. Ronnie explained the whole situation to Gretchen, including the fact that she and Gretchen probably would not be welcome when Katie figured out what was going on. She told Gretchen at first it would be imperative that she treated Katie exactly like the baby she wanted to be right now. She explained she wanted some routine in Katie's life. Then she was slowly to try and get Katie interested in other things. Like the news and foreign affairs, anything at all that would make her use her mind and face the world again. Ronnie also explained that the bank, including a charge account at the local supermarket, paid all of Katie's bills. Ronnie had arranged for Gretchen to use the account, even though that had taken her FBI badge to pull off. Ronnie told Gretchen that if she needed money for anything else, to use her own and bring Ronnie the receipts. Ronnie would be paying Gretchen's salary herself, at least until Katie came to her senses and realized this was for her own good. Ronnie grabbed her car keys and headed out the door to pick up Gretchen. Today was the day they invaded Katie's apartment. Ronnie had been ringing the doorbell for about 10 minutes and Katie still would not answer. So Ronnie found the landlord, flashed her badge and got a key. Ronnie could not believe her eyes. In only a little over a week, the apartment even looked and smelled worse. Gretchen and Ronnie found Katie sitting on the floor in the kitchen playing Russian roulette with her .38 snub nose. Katie, Ronnie assumed, had 1 bullet in the gun. She would spin the cylinder, then put it to her head and pull the trigger. Katie, please baby, put your toy down and come here. Katie looked up to see Dr. Ronnie and this huge woman standing there. It's not a toy, Dr. Ronnie, I like to think of it as my salvation. It's the only way to end the pain. One thing is for sure, I am going out with a bang. Katie then giggled and spun the cylinder again and started to put it to her head. Gretchen quickly stepped forward. Give me that gun, young lady, now or else. Katie almost instinctively minded the woman with the booming voice and handed her the gun. Gretchen handed the gun to Ronnie, and Ronnie quickly unloaded it, finding, as she suspected, 1 bullet. She almost fainted when she notices the marks on it. The firing pin had obviously hit the bullet several times. Through the grace of God, the bullet was a dud. Katie, realizing what she had done, stood up and looked at the two women. Her diaper was full and almost hanging to her knees. Katie herself was a filthy mess. Why are you two here bothering my game? I did not invite you. Get out of my apartment now or I will kick both your butts. Gretchen stepped forward to Katy. She looked like a freaking giant. Now that little girl I would like to see. Katy had been trained to evaluate situations like this. She knew if she proceeded and made one mistake, Gretchen would simply overpower her. Just then Ronnie spoke up. Katy, this is your new nanny. Her name is Gretchen. I hired her to take care of you. Katy tried to walk out of the kitchen but Gretchen blocked her way. Get out of my way, Godzilla. I need to use the phone to call the police. Fine, go right ahead, said Ronnie, then I will make a couple phone calls too. When the police see the way you are living and acting, I should have no problem at all getting you committed to a sanitarium. Katy was pissed. Why are you doing this to me, Dr. Ronnie? I thought you were my friend. Sweetie, I am not doing this to you. I am doing it for you, because I am your friend. Katy thought for a second before she spoke. Okay then, Godzilla can stay but you need to leave. I will agree to Godzilla only if you promise to get the hell out of my life and stay out of my business. Just get the fuck out. A tear fell from Ronnie's eye. She knew that Katy did not mean what she was saying but it hurt anyway just the same. Okay Katy, I will go for now but you had better stick to your bargain, or I will have you committed. No problem, just get the hell out you bitch. If I had not met you none of this would have ever happened. I would never have been in karate class and Grandma and Alicia would still be alive. Now get your ass out of my life. Ronnie composed herself long enough to ask Gretchen if she had any questions and then she left the apartment. She cried all the way to her office. In her heart she knew Katy did not mean the things she said, but in a way they were true. Gretchen went to get her bags when she turned around. Katy was standing in front of her. On second thought, Godzilla, I don't think this is going to work out. Why don't you take your bags and get the fuck out too? Gretchen just stared at Katy for a moment then reached out and grabbed her. Katy struggled but before she knew it the big bitch had thrown her over her shoulder. She carried Katy into the nursery and then the bathroom. She put her in the tub and removed her wet and messy diaper. She then rinsed off Katy's butt and noticed the terrible rash she had. Katy was screaming and complaining the whole time but at no moment did she actually go into fight mode with Gretchen. Somehow she knew if she did Gretchen would simply kick her butt. Once Gretchen had Katy dried off she picked her up again and carried her in the living room. Sitting on the sofa with a naked Katy sitting on her lap, Gretchen began to speak. Young lady, rather you like it or not, Nanny is now in charge. You will mind me or your behind will wish you had. Speaking of just that, your behavior with Dr. Ronnie and your language was totally unacceptable. I will not tolerate rudeness or profanity from the children in my care. Nanny then flipped Katy across her lap. This baby girl is so you will remember in the future. Nanny then gave Katy 10 sharp smacks across her bare bottom. Katy was bawling like a baby before Nanny's hand landed on her behind the second time. Nanny's hands were huge and strong. The pain in Katy's butt was incredible. It actually got better as the spanking continued because Katy's butt was becoming numb. Katy continued to cry even after Nanny placed her on her hip and carried her to the changing table. She had her head on Nanny's shoulder and Nanny was patting her back gently and trying to calm her down. Nanny actually walked her around the nursery for 5 or 6 minutes, almost chanting to her, "It's over baby, it's over. Nanny's here to take care of you now, go ahead, let it out." Katy suddenly realized that she was not crying any longer about the spanking. She was simply letting out the pain she had been going through for so long. She held Nanny's neck tightly and somehow sensed a security in her life for the first time in a long time. Nanny laid Katy on the changing table, then put the safety rail up and went to get one of her bags. She returned with the bag and opened it, revealing among other things the largest, thickest cloth diapers Katy had ever seen. Nanny also came up with a tube of her favorite rash creme and liberally applied it to Katy's rash. She then slid one of the thick cloth diapers under Katy and pinned it shut. Nanny then picked Katy up and carried her to her playpen. Sitting her down in the playpen, Nanny smiled. "Baby, you play here okay? Nanny has lots of cleaning to get started on." Katy asked if she could have cartoons on and Nanny turned on the TV and handed her the remote. It took Nanny 3 days to get the apartment clean and smelling fresh again. She had spent most of the first day searching the apartment to make sure Katy had no more weapons. She ended up finding 6 more handguns and several knives plus enough ammunition to fight a small war. While Katy was napping, she called Ronnie and asked her to pick them up. She also asked that Ronnie bring her a couple of hasp and 2 padlocks. She would use those to lock up the kitchen knives in 2 drawers. Katy was finally not only getting used to her routine but also used to walking in these thick diapers. She had fallen on her butt like a toddler the few times she tried. Katy had been very well behaved since Nanny moved in, not even complaining when Nanny moved into Grandma's bedroom. That was about to change a bit. Katy was adamant that she did not want to go outside. Nanny was adamant that she was going to. Naturally, Nanny won. Before Katy knew it, she was standing at the park wearing a disposable diaper and a onesie snapped between her crotch. Katy spotted a police officer and feared she would be arrested for indecent exposure. He walked right up to her and smiled. "Are you Katy Matthews of the FBI?" Katy did not say a word. The officer smiled. "No, of course not. Well, go play, sweetie, have fun." He then patted Katy on her diapered butt and sent her on her way. Katy finally forgot what she was wearing and tried to have a good time in the park. She ended up playing on the swings and teeter-totter with a little girl named Daphne. Daphne told Katy she was 7 and asked Katy how old she was. Katy had just turned 23 but told Daphne she was 13. Daphne simply commented that Katy was the first 13-year-old she had ever seen in diapers. Then they just went back to playing. Nanny checked her watch and then called Katy saying it was time to go. First she checked Katy's diaper. Finding it wet, she laid Katy down on the park bench and changed her. Katy cried the whole time. She had never been so humiliated in her life. Nanny then walked Katy to McDonald's for lunch. After they ate, she sent Katy to play in the fun land for about 30 minutes. They then headed home. Sensing that Katy was tired, Nanny picked her up and carried her the last 3 blocks. Katy was sound asleep sucking her pacifier when they finally reached the apartment. 3 weeks had passed since Nanny had become part of Katy's life. Even though Katy was not ready to admit it, Katy was grateful to have her. Katy was clean all the time now and rash-free. She had gained back the weight she had lost. Nanny was a wonderful cook. The truth was, for the most part, Katy was a happy baby. Sure, sometimes Katy misbehaved and did not mind. Even then, Nanny usually swatted her but 3 or 4 times and stuck her in her timeout chair in the corner. Not that Katy could not feel Nanny's swats even through her thick diapered butt. Katy actually loved her trips to the park with Nanny. She had made many new friends and was best friends with Daphne. Katy did not even mind since it got warmer. She was often taken to the park wearing nothing but a diaper and a t-shirt. Katy was perfectly content spending the rest of her life as a baby. She hardly ever thought about her time as an FBI agent. Katy did think about one thing: the way she had talked to and treated Dr. Ronnie. Katy was thinking about this laying in her crib, having just finished her nap. Katy stood up in her crib and called for her nanny. Nanny walked into the nursery with a big smile on her face. Did Nanny's baby have a nice nap? Katy held up her arms smiling as Nanny lifted her from the crib and carried her to the changing table. Just as Nanny was finishing pinning her fresh diaper in place, Katy began to speak. "Nanny, what are we having for supper tonight?" Surprised by the question, Nanny answered, "Beef stew and banana pudding." "Why do you ask, baby?" "I was just wondering if you would have enough for 3. I would like you to invite a guest for me." Nanny smiled at Katy. Maybe this was the breakthrough she had been looking for. "Sweetie, your nanny will probably make enough for 6 or 7. Who would you like me to invite?" Katy held out her arms and Nanny picked her up. Katy then leaned in to whisper in Nanny's ear, "Dr. Ronnie, please." Ronnie hung up the phone after talking to Gretchen. She then called her secretary and told her to cancel her business dinner appointment that evening. The appointment was important but not nearly as important as Katy. Nanny dressed Katy in one of her prettiest party dresses. It was yellow and she had on ruffled yellow plastic panties to match. Nanny fixed Katie's pretty hair in a simple ponytail and tied a huge yellow ribbon in it. Nanny was pleased to see how excited Katy was. Katy had jumped up and down and giggled when Nanny told her Dr. Ronnie was coming. At 6:30 sharp, Katy heard the doorbell ring. She was playing with her toys in the playpen and could not answer it. Nanny walked from the kitchen and lifted Katy from the pin. "Let me get the door, princess." Katy stood there as Nanny walked to the door and opened it. Dr. Ronnie walked in the living room and smiled at Katy. Katy suddenly started to cry. She then removed her pacifier. "Katy does not have the words to tell you how sorry I am, Dr. Ronnie. I do know you saved my life. If not for you, I would have found a way to kill myself. Now I don't want to anymore. Katy also wants you to know that what she said about Alicia and Grandma was stupid." Katy just stood there crying. Dr. Ronnie walked to her and picked her right up off the ground, even though Ronnie was not that much bigger than she was. "You listen to me, you special little darling. Dr. Ronnie never once was mad at you and you have nothing to apologize for. I just wished I had been here sooner for you. Katy, you are a very special person, and rather you want to be a baby or an adult, I promise you I will always be here for you, for now and forever." Katy then asked Dr. Ronnie to sit down, then crawled right in her lap, and showered her with hugs and kisses. Soon Nanny said dinner was ready. Katy sat in her high chair and fed herself with impeccable manners. Actually, she only got a couple of spots on her bib. After dinner, Gretchen and Ronnie had coffee and chatted while Katy sat on the floor and colored. Before any of the three realized, it was time for Katy's bedtime bath. When Nanny mentioned it, Katy asked Dr. Ronnie if she would give Katy her bath. Dr. Ronnie was more than a little happy to do just that. Katy was playing with her bath toys and splashing in the tub as Dr. Ronnie attempted to bathe the baby girl. The truth is known, Dr. Ronnie had always had people to do this sort of thing for her, even though she was enjoying it. Suddenly Katy put down her toys and asks about her undercover sisters. Ronnie was more than happy to fill her in on how the girls were doing. She suggested that Katy pick up the phone and call them sometime. Katy then smiled at Dr. Ronnie. "How much are you paying Nanny, Dr. Ronnie? Because I know it's my responsibility. I want to know so I can instruct the bank to start making her salary payments." Ronnie told Katy that she would call the bank and take care of the details. "If they have any questions, they can call you, sweetie." Just a few minutes later, Katy lay in Dr. Ronnie's lap and nursed her night bottle. Katy in some ways was truly happy for the first time in a while. Naturally, she missed Grandma and Alicia, but for the first time in a long time Katy knew she was not without family. Before Katy knew it, she was fast asleep. It had been a long and wonderful day. After Katy was asleep and safe in her crib, Ronnie and Gretchen sat down to talk over a nice glass of brandy. Ronnie told Gretchen it was time to start including some adult things in Katy's life. If we let her get too deep in her babyhood, we may never get her back. Gretchen smiled and told Ronnie she knew exactly what to do. Over the next couple of months, Gretchen made some changes in Katy's daily routine. The first thing she did was reintroducing her to training potty. She could care less if Katy wet her diapers but felt the poopy diapers had to go. Katy could not have been happier. She was not sure how she ever got in the nasty habit of messing herself in the first place. Actually, Gretchen had suggested right after Katy had messed herself at the grocery store. It had been 2 months since Katy had learned to use the potty and she had only 2 accidents. One was at the park and the other was when she was sick. The other things Gretchen had taken to making Katy do, Katy was not so sure of. Katy had to spend an hour a day reading a book chosen by her nanny. At first this was a total grind for Katy and she hated the intrusion into her toy time. Once she got into the books, Nanny had to tell Katy when to put them down. Then she started making Katy sit on her lap every night while she watched World News Tonight. Katy had no choice but to watch. The first few nights she squirmed the whole time and pretended not to be paying attention. After about 2 weeks, Katy was reminding Nanny when the show was coming on. Nanny and even Dr. Ronnie noticed a lot of changes in Katy after that. She was once again spending hours on her computer. Gretchen noticed that she read CNN and USA Today religiously. Katy had also all by herself subscribed to the Chicago Tribune and read it every day cover to cover. Katy still spent time playing with her toys and loved her daily afternoon trips to the park. But she insisted on being dressed, and Nanny was pretty sure she was emptying her bladder on purpose before they went so she would stay dry at the park. Katy then started asking for some other things. She asked to join a pistol range and take up shooting again. Nanny would take her twice a week. She was amazed what a skilled marksman Katy was, so was the gun range owner. Katy even taught Nanny how to handle and fire a handgun. Then Katy wanted to join a gym. She signed both her and Nanny up and they went every morning for 2 hours. Nanny lost some weight, but Katy was getting in tremendous shape. The biggest shock was when Katy asked to return to her karate classes. Katy had long since realized that a big truck and not karate had taken her loved ones. Katy was actually so busy she barely had time for her toys or trips to the park. Nanny had even quit insisting that she take her afternoon naps. It simply took too long to get Katy to settle down. By the time she was asleep, it was time to get her up for one activity or another. Nanny was watching one of her afternoon soaps one day, when Katy walked in and crawled in her lap. Gretchen had noticed this technique before. It was what Katy did when she wanted something good. Nanny, I've been thinking and I think it's time Katy got potty trained again. Will you help me? Please. Katy spent the next couple weeks potty training, but it just did not take. Katy still had accidents about a third of the time in her new disposable training panties. Undaunted, Katy was still determined to go on with her plan. She would make the announcement tonight at dinner. Dr. Ronnie was coming and the timing would be perfect. Katy sat in her chair at the dinner table. The only childish thing was her bib, which Nanny had insisted on. Katy seldom used her high chair anymore except for breakfast. After they had finished the wonderful leg of lamb dinner Nanny had prepared, Katy ate some ice cream while Nanny and Ronnie had some coffee. Then Katy told them she had a special announcement. All eyes were on Katy when she began to speak. Ladies, Katy has decided to go back to work, but not for the FBI. I just think there would be too many painful memories. I have decided to open up my own detective agency and become a private investigator. The silence at the table was a bit deafening. Finally, Dr. Ronnie spoke. Baby, it sounds like you have given this a great deal of thought. How come you never mentioned it before? Katy giggled. Oh yes, I came up with this idea back when I first started watching the news with Nanny. But I was pretty much a full-time baby then, and I knew y'all would not allow it. So I tricked you so I could do the training I needed and get my adult mindset back. I hope you are not mad at me. Ronnie just started laughing and then Gretchen did too. She's smarter than both of us. She beat us with our own trick. Gretchen nodded. Yeah, and we thought we had done such a wonderful job of bringing her back. All three of them were laughing now. Then Katy spoke again. Don't either of you ever question what you have done for me. I love you both and you saved my life. Now Nanny, could you change my panties? I think I had an accident. The next day Nanny took Katy to the courthouse to apply for her PI license. One of these days, thought Katy, I have got to learn how to drive. Katy put her pacifier in her purse once Nanny had the car parked. Then waited as she had been taught until Nanny came around to get her out of the car. Nanny took Katy by the hand and they walked into the building. Katy made a mental note that she was going to have to break Nanny of always holding her hand in public. They found the office they needed and Katy asked the lady for applications for both PI and handgun licenses. Katy was shocked when Nanny spoke up. I will be needing a couple of those too, please. As the lady went to get the applications, Katy gave Nanny a questioning look. You did not really think Nanny was going to let her baby do this by herself, did you? Besides, it sounds like fun. Katy just smiled. Okay, partner. They filled out the applications and then Gretchen took Katy to the ladies' room. Gretchen praised Katy for keeping her panties dry and sat her on the toilet. When Katy was finished, she wiped her with some TP and then a baby wipe from her purse. Katy then suggested they go across the street to the coffee shop, get something to eat and a newspaper. We need some office space. Katy and Gretchen spent all day looking at offices. The last one they looked at turned out to be perfect. It was only 2 blocks from the apartment. It included 2 offices and a reception area. Katy thought it was perfect and Gretchen liked it because it was close to home. Katy and Gretchen signed the lease for a year without a second's hesitation. They had been told that it would take 3 days for the applications to be approved. Katy and Gretchen used this time to buy office furniture. Katy bought new computers for all 3 desks, even though Gretchen insisted she did not know how to use one. They also had to get business licenses and stuff like that. Gretchen was impressed at how efficiently Katy handled everything. They picked up their licenses and badges on the 3rd day. When they got to the office, the man was painting the agency name on the door. Katy had insisted that Gretchen be an equal partner. Gretchen, however, insisted the agency be named after Katy. So there it was on the door, Katy Matthews, Private Investigator and Associates. Katy then spent a couple of days along with Gretchen interviewing office assistants. The girl they hired was Shelley Thompson. She was fresh out of college with a business degree. Her husband was still in law school. She was tall and gangly and talked all the time, but Katy and Gretchen both liked her right off. Besides, Katy had a feeling she could trust her. The next few weeks were boring as hell. It would be 2 more months before Katy's had hit the yellow pages. She and Gretchen still spent a good deal of time in the gym, and Gretchen was now taking karate classes too. Gretchen also stayed home some of the time. Simply put, she had an apartment to take care of and keep clean. Katy would sit at the office and play computer games. She also spent time playing canasta online, with Shelley as her partner. Then one day she saw an ad in the classifieds. A reward was being offered of $10,000. It was for the capture of the people responsible for the abduction of the missing strippers. There had been 6 strippers abducted in as many months from several uptown strip joints. Katy had been following the case in the paper. This was just the sort of case Katy needed to get things rolling around here. Katy called the number listed and talked to a Mac Foster. He was the owner of a club called Baby Dolls. One of his girls had been abducted and he had put up the reward. Katy told him who she was, then gave him the phone numbers of Chief Masters and Dr. Ronnie so he could check out her credentials. Katy told him she would take the case for the reward, but she was going to need some help from him. They made arrangements to have dinner that very evening. Katy told Mac she would be bringing her partner. Katy then left Shelley in charge and ran home to talk to Gretchen. As soon as Katy told Gretchen what was going on, she slipped into nanny mode. She was upset with Katy for deciding to take the case without discussing it with her first. Young lady, if the police have no idea who is abducting these girls, how do you intend to find out? That's simple, Gretchen. I am going undercover. Gretchen knew exactly what Katy had in mind, and was having no part of it. What are you planning on doing, becoming a stripper? Exactly, how could I better? Stay close and watch the girls. It's the only way, the best way, don't you think? Katy Matthews, I should spank your rear for even thinking about this. If you think I am letting you take your clothes off in front of a bunch of strange men, you are out of your mind. This discussion is over, young lady. Call the man back and cancel the dinner. Don't forget to tell him you are sorry for wasting his time. Now Katy was mad, no, make that furious. Damn it, Gretchen, we are in this business as partners. If you don't want to take the case, that's one thing. But I will not stand here and let you pull nanny rank on me. As far as me being seen naked, that's bullshit too. How many times did you change my naked ass in the park? Katy stood crying in the corner and rubbing her very sore behind. Katy knew that she had not been spanked for arguing with Nanny, but for her choice of language in doing so. Nanny had explained that carefully right before she blistered Katie's behind. Gretchen was in the kitchen, trying to make Katie some lunch, but it was taking forever. She knew this first job was important to Katie and maybe she had overreacted to the whole stripper thing. In Katie's eyes she was a professional. Katie had told her about working as an undercover baby and some of the things she had done. In Katie's mind this assignment was no different. She wanted to find out what had happened to those girls, and if they were indeed dead, make sure it did not happen again. Gretchen walked back into the living room. Katy was still sniffling in the corner. She took a seat on the couch and told Katy to come to her. Katy walked to Nanny with her head bowed and crawled into her lap. Gretchen took her hand and lifted up her chin. Katy spoke first. "I am sorry, Nanny, for cursing at you. It won't happen again." Katy needs to learn to control her temper. "Well, young lady, if it happens again, I will wash your mouth out with soap on top of the spanking." Katy hugged Nanny's neck and said that she needed to go call Mr. Foster and cancel dinner. Now what kind of way would that be to run an agency? "You just remember at dinner tonight, to make sure you get me a job too. I don't think I will make a very good stripper, but I have been a bouncer before." Katy screamed with glee and kissed Nanny all over her face. "Now how about for the rest of the day I get to see my baby Katy?" Katy nodded her head in agreement and Nanny carried her into the nursery and placed her on the changing table. After some wonderful lotion that soothed Katy's still stinging butt, Nanny put one of Katy's thick cotton diapers under her powdered her butt and pubic area and pinned it snugly to her. Nanny even got out the high chair to feed Katy her lunch and then sent her to play with her toys. Katy wanted to do some research on the case, but that could wait. Right now Nanny was exactly right. Katy needed some baby time. Mac Foster turned out to be a nice grey-haired man in his early 50s. Katy told him that she had not done all the research she needed to, but she wanted her and Gretchen to go undercover at his club. Simply put, it was the best way she knew to get a grip on what was happening. "Katy, your chief masters told me how you became an FBI agent, and that you were the best agent man or woman he had ever seen." He then asked Katy if she was sure she could strip in public. It was a good question, thought Katy. "Mr. Foster, I have spent a lot of time the last few years wearing diapers. I have training panties on right now, and to tell you the truth, they are a little wet. I am a bit nervous. I have been babied and had my diaper changed in more embarrassing situations than you can imagine. I think, no, I know I can handle this." Mac Foster smiled. "I have no doubt you can, and I have an idea to make it easier for you. I think you should become Baby Doll's new baby girl. I want you to come on stage dressed as a baby. The crowd will love it, and maybe I will even make a little money. You know the reward I am offering. Katy, I am going to double it. On top of that, I will pay you and Gretchen $1,000 a week apiece. Gretchen will be my new head bouncer. I am putting you in charge of everything that goes on at the club. You can start tomorrow night. Katy, I want you to spend a couple weeks with a friend of mine 24/7. She is going to teach you how to dance and act. She is a wonderful lady and will love having a young girl around." Katy looked at Gretchen basically for permission to agree. Gretchen thought about it for almost a minute. The table was silent. It was hard for the nanny and Gretchen to turn her baby over and have someone teach her to be a whore. Katy looked again at Gretchen. "Nanny, it will be okay, I need the training." Gretchen knew Katy was right and nodded her head. "Okay, Mr. Foster," Katy said, "looks like we got a deal." Just then Gretchen spoke up. "Mr. Foster, I like the idea of Katy having training, and honestly I can't wait to start my new job. The thing that would bother me is being away from my baby girl for 2 weeks. Do you think you could get the trainer to stay with us in our apartment? I will provide her with anything she needs." Mac Foster assured Gretchen and Katy he could work it out. "Money solves all problems, girls, and I will solve this one. Gretchen, you start tomorrow at 7. I will have Katy's trainer at your apartment tomorrow afternoon." Mac Foster then excused himself. He needed to get to his club. Nanny took Katy home and quickly diapered her and put her to bed. Well, as quickly as she could, Katy nursed her bottle, but Nanny could tell she was very excited. Nanny hoped Katy's excitement was the challenge and not the danger. It was really hard to tell what excited her the most. Finally, her baby was asleep. Gretchen took a bubble bath and thought about what she had gotten herself into. How in the world did she go from nanny to private investigator? Gretchen knew that she had some bouncing experience. That was the easy part. She also knew that while they were undercover she could not mother or overprotect Katie. It might be dangerous and ruin the whole investigation. Right now Gretchen needed to relax. She masturbated herself to climax before climbing out of the tub and going to bed. The next day at 3 p.m. the doorbell rang. Katie was sitting in the living room wearing only a diaper, playing with some dolls. Gretchen and Katie both felt if the trainer was going to live here 2 weeks she needed to know the real Katie. Gretchen answered the door. Standing in front of her was one of the most beautiful women she had ever seen. This woman was no kid. She was probably older than Gretchen, but she had a beautiful face and the body of a goddess. "Hi, I'm Lena Dawson. I am here to train Katie. Is she home?" Gretchen took Lena to the living room to meet Katie. Lena showed no reaction when she saw Katie sitting there in nothing but a diaper. Gretchen introduced them and asked Lena to take a seat. Katie, mainly checking for reaction, got up and went and crawled in her lap. 3 hours later, after eating a wonderful dinner Nanny fixed, Lena told Gretchen not to worry about a thing. She promised to take wonderful care of Katie and told Gretchen not to worry about a thing. Later that night Lena bathed Katie and began to talk to her. "Young lady, I want you to know I think you are adorable. But I am not so sure about your baby side. I just don't know how the baby girl I am bathing is going to fit into the world of a stripper." Katie just continued to play with her toys. "I also don't understand how you can possibly act as a private detective, but I do have some questions for you. Do you know how to dance?" Katie shook her head no. "Do you know how to flirt with a man?" Katie shook her head no. "Have you ever been with a man?" Katie again shook her head no. Lena shook her head. "Is there anything you do know how to do, sweetie?" Katie shook her head yes. "I can kill you with my bare hands using 22 different methods. I can shoot a freckle off your face with a .38 from up to 100 feet away. I can assume any role you want me to play." "Lena, you don't worry about Katie. She will learn to dance, she will learn to flirty. Katie will learn anything you want or expect me to do. I will make you a deal. You do your job the best you can and I will do mine, okay?" Lena was a bit shocked and a bit impressed. She knew immediately that she had understated the girl she was bathing. Lena helped Katie out of the tub and dried her off. She then took her to the changing table and diapered her for the night. It had been a while since she diapered one of her nieces, but she remembered how. She was helping Katie into her crib, before Katie spoke again. "Lena, will you please warm me a bottle? You will find one in the fridge." Lena went to the fridge and got the bottle. After warming it in the microwave, she checked the temp on her wrist and carried it into the nursery. Katie took it and began nursing it. Just as Lena was leaving, Katie spoke again. "Lena, you have a lot to teach me about being a stripper, but I think I have more to teach you about babysitting." Katie giggled for a moment, then resumed nursing her bottle. Lena left the nursery shaking her head. Why did she think this little girl was testing her? It was obvious the girl loved being babied. Lena was confused and a bit uncomfortable. It was only 9:30, but Lena knew she needed to get to bed. "I'll bet that little shit gets up early." Lena was right as she focused her eyes at the alarm clock in her room. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. Katie was already calling to Lena to get her up. Lena slipped on her housecoat and walked into Katie's nursery. "Good morning, sunshine. You got something against sleeping?" Katie giggled. "I got lots and lots to do today, but right now I need you to take this diaper off me so I can use my potty. I don't like doing poopies in my diaper." Lena lifted Katie out of the crib, removed her plastic panties and diaper and watched as the girl walked to the bathroom. Lena followed her, then lifted her up on the potty, which was sitting on top of her commode. She strapped the girl in and left to see about making herself some coffee. Just as she got the coffee on, she heard Katie calling her again. She walked back in the bathroom, undid the strap and lifted Katie off her potty. She then wondered why Katie was just standing there. "Oh God," thought Lena. She then grabbed some TP. Katie smiled and bent over. Lena wiped her cute little butt. Lena then picked Katy up and carried her back to the changing table. She used a couple baby wipes to clean her some more, then asked Katy if she wanted a diaper or her trainers. Lena, let me try and explain this to you slowly. I am the baby when I am at home. You're supposed to make all those tough decisions. Katy giggled and Lena slid a nice thick cloth diaper under her butt. As she pinned it shut, she spoke. I suppose now I am supposed to feed you. Lena fixed Katy some bacon and eggs while she sat on the kitchen floor, sucked on her pacifier and played with a fire truck. Lena had a lot of doubts about Katy as she placed her in her high chair and bibbed her. Katy took the spoon Lena offered and began feeding herself. Lena could not believe how messy she was. When Katy finished, Lena wiped her face and hands. Okay, what now, little one? You want to go play with your toys? Katy giggled. First you get my morning bottle ready, and a pad and a piece of paper. 5 minutes later she was lying with her head on Lena's lap nursing her bottle. Then she told Lena to write what she told her down. Lena, your job is to keep me on schedule. We have limited time and a lot of work to do. From as soon as we finish our little meeting till 9:30 I am going to be doing research. From 9:30 until 10:30 you can give me my first dance lesson. From 10:30 till noon I am going to work on profiles of the kidnapped dancers. From noon till 2 I will have lunch and my nap. I don't like naps, but if Nanny finds out I skipped it I will get a spanking. From 2 till 5 I am all yours, we can dance some more. You can teach me to be a flirt, how to put on fancy makeup, anything and everything about the striptease business. Okay hun, that sounds great. What happens at 5? Katy giggled again. You fix dinner and then I play with my toys. That's basically how the day went. Lena was amazed just how fast Katy learned. After the first hour Katy was dancing better than some professionals ever could. She learned every step the first time Lena showed her. Gretchen got up about noon and helped Lena with lunch. She had not gotten home till after 3 am. Katy had a million questions and Gretchen answered each and every one patiently. When she had finished eating, Lena told her it was time for her nap. Katy told her she had changed her mind and was not taking one. She figured Nanny would intercede, but she loved testing Lena. Nanny did not say a word, so Katy started to go to work. Just then she felt 2 stinging smacks to her thighs. Ow ow, yelped Katy. Young lady, I was not asking, I was telling. Now get you skinny little hinny in the nursery. Katy hurried off to the nursery rubbing her thigh and Lena followed with her bottle. Gretchen gave Lena a high five as she passed her. Katy and Lena had a lot of fun doing the makeup session. But Katy did giggle a lot when Lena was trying to teach her to flirt. Nevertheless, she was very impressed with Katy. She did have her doubts about Katy's safety. Teaching the girl for money was one thing, but Lena still had doubts about Katy being able to protect herself. She voiced these feelings to Gretchen and Katy. Katy asked why Lena cared. She was only getting paid to teach her how to be a stripper. That may be true, but I have my ethics, and if this is too dangerous for you, I want no part of it. The next day, in total big girl mode, Katy took Lena to the pistol range. When she saw what Katy could do with a handgun, she was totally impressed. Then Katy took Lena to her dojo. Her instructor set up a match, Katy against 5 other people, men and women. Less than 45 seconds into the match, none of them were standing. Lena had to admit Katy was simply incredible. She was thinking that as she was changing Katy out of her soaked training panties. I got it, Katy screamed. Lena ran to her and asked, what is it you got, sweetheart? I found the link, the common connection between all 6 girls. Actually, Lena, it's 3 things and I am not sure how they are connected. 1. All the girls are under 22 years old, 4 of them still in their teens. None of the girls was over 5'5", and from their pictures all were pretty petite. Most of all, none of them had any family. They all came out of reform schools and foster care. So how does this help us, little one? I don't understand. Well, Lena, 1, it helps me build my bio. It works for me that I am only 5'4" and petite. Second, for this gig I will pretend to only be 18 and I am an orphan. None of these things is much of a stretch for me. I assure you that one of these three things, if not all of them, is why the girls are targeted. The next week and a half Katy worked really hard learning her new craft. Katy would have to dance 2 different routines a night. The rest of the time she would dance on the bar or do lap dances. Lena choreographed 2 routines for her, both with original music. The first one found her on stage in a disposable diaper and a pretty pink nightie with a bottle of milk. She would have a blankie to play on and several stuffed toys. The second one, Katy would wear a little cowgirl outfit and cowgirl hat. She would have holsters and cap guns along with a rocking horse to ride. Lena told Katy to never take off her diaper, she needed to leave that for her mystique, think of it as your G-string. If you wet it on stage, those are just bonus points. Katy went through both routines at home with Lena when she finished. Lena told her it was perfect. You start tomorrow night, baby, it's a Saturday and the place will be hopping. Katy was suddenly very sad and Lena noticed it immediately. What's wrong, baby, are you scared? I thought you wanted this. Katy looked up at Lena with a tear in her eye. Katy's not scared, Lena taught me good. It's just that your job is done now, I just hate to see you leave. Katy then started to sob a bit. You silly little girl, Lena is not going anyplace. She is your new manager, and besides, who do you think is going to help Gretchen take care of you? Katy quit crying and giggled, yes. She then jumped into Lena's arms. Katy took a deep breath when she heard her music start, then waited for the curtain to rise. She was sitting on the blankie wearing her disposable diaper and nightie, along with a big pair of fluffy house slippers. Katy's hair was in pigtails and ribbons. Her act started out with her sitting on the blankie playing with her stuffed animals and sucking on her bottle. Katy could tell by the catcalls that the men were loving it. She then took off her slippers, stood up and started to dance a bit. Lena backstage kept thinking to herself, that's it girl, work it, work it. Katy then slowly pulled her nightie off and tossed it in the crowd. She danced with a pole for a while, all the time nursing her bottle. She let some of the milk from her bottle run down her chest and over her perky little breast. She had all eyes on her and Katy could feel them. When her music finished, Katy said her line loud and clear, me need a daddy, could it be you? Better yet, just as she did, the front of her diaper turned yellow. One man almost had a heart attack. Katy was a big hit. She was also busy the rest of the night doing lap dances wearing a single thin cloth diaper. Lena had to change her 4 times. Monday the crowd was bigger than Saturday and they all came to see Katy. It got better and better for the rest of the week. It was getting so busy Mac doubled the cover charge and told Katy she was getting a cut. They put Katy's picture up on the mag. Within a week she was the club's headliner. It was almost like Katy was the only one that still remembered why she was here. Katy was afraid that the other dancers would be jealous of her. Then nothing could be farther from the truth. They thought she was adorable. Katy talked to them as much as she could. She expected that the girls would only know about the girls that had been taken while working for Mac. But most of them knew the other girls too. Just the same, a month later Katy knew no more than when she had started. It was Sunday. She was sitting on the floor playing with her toys aimlessly. There was something Katy was missing and it was driving her nuts. She was getting tired of being bait. She was supposed to be an investigator. In fact, she would not have to wait much. Katy went over and over every bit of evidence and information she could find. Katy believed it was over. The kidnappers had not snatched another girl in almost 3 months. No matter how hard she tried, simply was beginning to think there was simply not enough evidence out there to help her find the girls. The way the girls were taken, for one thing, was a total mystery. The girls had simply turned up missing. No witnesses had seen a thing strange or unusual. The police were not even sure where the abductions took place. It was midnight at the club. Katy had already done 4 shows that night. She had a headache and wanted to go home. She was beginning to think once again that she was wasting her time. The police had given up on this case. Why shouldn't Katy? Lena told Mac Katy was not feeling well and she was taking her home. She then called her and Katy a cab. The cab arrived at the apartment building and Lena paid the driver. She took Katy by the hand and started to enter the building. Just then a figure stepped out of the shadows. Katy stepped in front of Lena to defend her, then felt a sting in her neck and passed out. Lena turned to see where the sound came from and soon felt the same sting Katy had. Later at the hospital, Lena told the police all she knew. 2 people in black outfits with black ski mask out of nowhere. The one in front of them distracted them while the other one shot us. Lena hated herself for not protecting that sweet baby. She should have been more careful. She should have waited till Gretchen got off like they normally did. Gretchen told Lena it was simply not her fault and that Katy could and would take care of herself. Seeing Lena had calmed down, Gretchen went and called Dr. Ronnie. The next morning a team of FBI agents showed up. Their team leader was Chief Masters himself. After they had gathered what little information the police had and interviewed Lena, the chief called his men together for a meeting. Listen up people, these people have screwed up and they don't even know it. Our number 1 job is that we don't blow her cover. Somehow, someway Katy will get us a clue as to where she is. I want rental cars checked, everyone you can find. I also want to know about every private plane that has left any airport within 100 miles of here. Sooner or later Katy is going to explode on these people. When she does, they are going to think they are in a world of hurt. I want to be there to help her. Remember, Katy Matthews in a couple short years was the most decorated female agent in bureau history. We don't lose our own people now, get busy. Gretchen was thrilled to see Chief Masters and hear his speech. At least she knew finding her baby was in the best hands possible. Katy had waked up in a cloth bag in the trunk of a car. Her hands and feet were tied and there was tape over her mouth. The car stopped and then Katy heard the trunk open. 2 men still wearing ski masks pulled her out of the bag. My God, something reeks, what's that smell? The other masked man said it was probably Katy's diaper. They looked away for a second and Katy managed to rip her pacifier from its position pinned to her shirt. She tossed it in the trunk of the car. It don't matter, dude, as soon as we get her on that plane. We get our money and they can worry about her diapered stinking. One of the men picked Katy up and tossed her over his shoulder, saying, "Damn, that does stink," as he carried Katy towards the plane. Once on the plane, Katy was strapped in a seat, and Katy watched a tall blonde woman hand them an envelope. They left and she quickly closed the door, took a seat herself. 3 or 4 minutes later the plane was airborne. As soon as it was, she got up and walked back to Katy. "Now listen to me, young lady, and listen to me good. The cabin to the cockpit is locked. You can get in there and neither can I. They don't know what I look like and I don't know that they look like. That's the way they like it. They have no idea even what they are transporting. I assure you that they are the type men that don't care. I am telling you this because I intend to untie you and change that diaper. I just want you to understand that even if you somehow overpower me, you're going nowhere. I will tell you this, if you try I will punish you severely." She then untied Katy's face and hands and untapped her mouth. To her surprise, Katy did not say a word. The lady walked Katy down to the bathroom entrance and removed her pants and diaper. The diaper had leaked and the pants were stained. She then used several Kleenexes to clean her and laid her down on the floor. She then, using a folded bath towel and 2 safety pins, diapered Katy. "I have 3 more of these towels and we only have a 7-hour flight. So we should make it. As far as where we are going, all I know is a private island in the Atlantic. As for what they want with you, I have no idea. My job is to deliver you like I did 6 other girls. I never even get off the plane. All I really know is that they pay me very well. By the way, sweetheart, what's your name? Katie, using her best baby voice, told her. She then started crying and saying over and over she wanted her mommy. Katie's plane was just landing on the island when one of Chief Master's men found a pacifier with a pink ribbon tied to it, in the back of a rental Taurus. By telephone, Lena assured him that it was definitely the color of the one Katie was wearing. The man that rented the car had used a fake driver's license and his credit card had the same fake name. Then again, it was his billing address that busted his ass. 2 hours later, an FBI SWAT team led by Chief Masters arrested both men in a suburban home. They found the dart gun, the black outfits and ski mask. They also found an envelope with 20 grand in it. Later, with a promise of a reduced sentence, they agreed to tell what they knew. The problem was they did not know much. They were small-time hoodlums that were always contacted by phone and paid in cash. The only thing of real importance they could tell was the type of plane and the tail number 7705. Within an hour they were on the way to the airport where the plane was kept. Of course, when they got there the plane had not returned yet. Meanwhile, back at the island, the blonde had handcuffed Katie right before the plane landed. When the plane landed, Katie was handed over to a man about 6'5" and 240 pounds. He handed the woman an envelope, then put Katie in the front seat of a Jeep and drove the short drive to the house. It was a big, beautiful house. As Katie was taken into the house, she saw several girls swimming in the pool naked. She recognized them from their pictures. Katie was led into a large study, finding an older woman sitting behind a desk smiling at her. She then looked quizzically at the young man. "Why is this girl wearing a diaper? I knew she danced in them, but this is ridiculous." The young man told his boss that he did not know. From what he understood, she needs them. The woman dismissed the young man and looked at Katie. "Young lady, we have no guards here, and there are no fences. But other than a few natives, we are the only people on my island. I thought when I quit stripping years ago I had enough money to live for the rest of my life. But some investments went bad. That's when I came up with my plan. I am going to throw some very expensive parties for some very wealthy and important guest. The girls I have collected are simply my hostesses. If you mind, you will be treated very well. If you don't, Angel or myself will punish you severely. The other girls have already decided to cooperate. Honestly, I think they like it here. So what do you have to say?" Katie thought to herself, this woman was nothing but a madam, running her idea of a high-class whorehouse. Instead of hiring some girls, she had just stole them. Katie looked at the woman and started to cry, "Me want my mommy." A few minutes later, Angel walked in the room. She was big black woman built like China from the WWF. She was instructed to take Katie to join the other girls and to order her some disposable diapers. Katie was taken to the pool and her diaper removed. "Lunch will be in a little while, girls. Enjoy the pool until we call you." All the girls gathered around Katie and started talking. They told her to mind whatever she did and that Angel had a mean streak. Katie asked them one question: is it really just the young man, Angel, and the old lady watching us? When they told her yes, Katie crawled out of the pool. She then turned to the girls in the pool. "When I get over by the pool, you girl make a lot of noise so that Angel comes out here." Katie got in position and gave the girls the signal. They started yelling and screaming and Angel came walking out. Katie thought to herself, "Showtime, you know I came all the way to this island to kick your big black ass. What you say we get started?" Angel lunged at her and Katie kicked her hard right in the nose, breaking it. She then took out Katie's right knee. The whole fight only took a couple of minutes. Actually, Katie was disappointed. Katie told the girls to get some rope, gag the bitch and tie her up. She then went to find the young man. He was in a room playing pool when Katie walked in. "Hi, can I play?" Katie said, picking up a cue. He was explaining to Katie that she was not supposed to be in there when she broke the cue over his head. Katie thought it was funny when she handcuffed him to a leg of the table, with the cuffs he had taken off of her. Katie then had the girls drag Angel in the game room and told two of the girls to go tell Grandma that Angel had fainted. The woman followed the girls to the game room and almost passed out when she saw what Katie had done to her goons. "Lady, do you want to sit your ass down in the chair while the girls tie you up, or do I have to kick your fat old ass?" She sat down and the girls quickly tied her up. "Who the hell are you, young lady?" Katie just smiled. Katie Matthews and Private Eye. Katie and the other girls found some clothes and some towels to use as diapers for Katie. Then they found a phone and Katie called Gretchen. Nanny almost died laughing when Katie told her what had happened. She then told Katie that a jet full of FBI agents were on their way and should be there in a couple of hours. Katie and her new friends were having a party by the pool when Chief Masters raided the house. Katie just smiled and hugged and kissed him. "I figured you'd be showing up fast enough, thanks for coming to get me, Chief."